Okay, everybody, this is your boy D Cot coming back to you again. I think we got our technical difficulties taken care of. I do apologize about the audio situation. We've got a east side situation here and snow and all those things going on, so we got to get that taken care of. So we did get it taken care of. Darrin, good? Can you good? Can you hear me still?
We're good. We're good. We're good.
All right. Hey, so I want to welcome my special guest here. I don't think y'all heard anything I was saying. This is D-Cot, Little D-Cot, a.k.a. the Tornado. Welcome to the show, Tornado.
What's going on? What's going on? Blessed to be here. We in a very kind of muggy, cold, but vibrant Colorado Springs. So we doing well, doing well, doing well. So.
Good. Glad to hear, man. I wish I would have known a little bit earlier that I was having those audio situations. But I'm gonna go ahead and go back over and recap. So we just had the 12-team playoff announced. In order, we've got Ohio State, we've got Indiana, Texas Tech, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Oregon, Notre Dame, and then in the 11 and 12 spot, we've got oh shucks. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Sorry about that. Man, this is a little bit clunky right now.
I was about to say what Alabama and Georgia.
Man, it's tough, man, and it's tough in the hood, I'll tell you that. But the 11 and 12 are Miami and BYU. But we all know the last two spots are going to be going to the 4th and 5th ranked conference winners. That's out of the ACC, and that's also out of I'm sorry, ACC, and also the Power Four. Who that's going to be. So we'll see how that shakes out. So what are you thinking right now? As you saw the breakdown, Darren, what do you think about what's going on with the top 12, and what do you see this weekend looking like?
Top 12. So if I'm not mistaken, right, they have Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma, Bama, Notre Dame, Virginia, and then I guess it'd be Tulane because they got the
the group of four, right?
Yeah,
so group of four team have to get it.
Yeah, so that's the aggregate. Okay, so yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. Kind of a little bit what I expected. I see Bama jumped Notre Dame. Committee finally gave Bama their flowers and kind of looked at the strength of schedule. I think at the time, right, it was kind of an outrage with Bama fans of how Notre Dame is ahead of us. Look at the resume, which is a valid argument. I think everything's gonna play itself out anyways. So I don't really think it was a huge problem, really. But rankings seem about right. It's similar from what it was last week. Obviously, this week is conference championship Saturday, so stuff's gonna shake up. Uh, stuff gonna look way different selection Sunday. So, you got big games of Virginia and Duke play, Bama, Georgia, Indiana, Ohio State. I think both of them still in the playoff either way, honestly. Right. So, Texas Tech and BYU play. So, there's a few locks. You got Ole Miss a lock, A&M is a lock, Oklahoma to me is a lock, Oregon to me is a lock, Indiana, Ohio State to me is a lock too. So, should be, Georgia probably a lock too. So, you got a few locks there, but like I said, it's still room from that 9 to 12 spot up.
Right. You remember those guaranteed spots.
It could be entertaining over there. It could be getting wild.
So with that said, so think about this, right? So BYU is that team that's teetering right now, right? They're in range, but they're outside looking in. Do you think BYU has a standing chance against Texas Tech?
In the play, yes, they have a chance, right? I think anybody, right? If you make it that far in your conference, you have a chance, right? You have a fighting chance. to me, right, they already played this year, right, in Lubbock, Texas.
Right.
But Texas Tech owned them on the line of scrimmage, both sides, offensive line and defensive line. They owned them with their run game and and I think Texas Tech watching that game through some wrinkles that they didn't really expect coming. But they have a chance. I think coming into the game, right? BYU is obvious. I think if you want to make the playoff, you have to win this game. And I think if they do win the game, I actually think they're in. Because I mean they're in. It's a matter if they might drop Texas Tech from all the way from 4 to all the way just out of the playoff. That's
you know what? I'm gonna tell you this. There's no way Texas Tech is out of the playoffs with the resume they've had all year, in my opinion, right? So I would think it would be 2 Big 12 teams, and I think that would really put a lot of pressure on the committee. Do you exclude an ACC team as a whole, or do you take away one of the SEC teams? Because right now you're looking at 5 teams.
Yeah.
So what do you do? And the committee chair talked about today. He says it's not set. It's not set
at all
right now.
It's not at all. I see the percentages. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I see the percentages of everybody coming in. But and we could talk about some chaos since we're already on the topic of the playoff. In my opinion, right, I think if Bama wins, right, or no, if Bama loses, right, if Bama wins, they're obviously in. But if they lose on Saturday against Georgia, I think they're still in. I don't think there's a world, right, where you can look at Bama, right, you look at their resume, you look that they're in the SEC conference. I think, in my opinion, I think they're in because I don't think you can let them out.
Right.
Like if Bama is out, right, just because they lost in the championship game, right, I really think the SEC will burn that whole thing down to the ground. And I really don't know what I mean. But if you notice, right, the SEC is a little quiet, right? They're a little quiet.
Except for Sark.
Well, he's trying to make his case. And the thing about it is, right, with this, I mean, Texas is a good team. Should they be in the playoff? No, but he has a valid argument, right? They just beat the number one, used to be number 1 seed team in the SEC, Texas A&M, who you said is probably the best team in the SEC.
I felt that way for a while, But here's the difference. You're talking about a 3-loss team. You're talking about unprecedented. Can you hear me still okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm listening.
Okay. An unprecedented 3-loss team, never been done before. Granted, this is a 12-team playoff. How do you justify a 3 games losing for a Texas team that didn't play for the conference title? From that perspective, I would say that they don't have a snowball's chance in hell because of just that. Now, if you're talking about a 3-loss team in a conference championship game, if it's Bama, or if in fact Miami would have got into their ACC title game, maybe. But I don't think you can win or get into the playoffs with 3 losses and not have the ability to play in your conference final game. I just don't see that that being parlayed into something that could be positive. But again, to that point, we've got the Big Ten. I know I was talking that we all couldn't hear me about the Big Ten. I talked about Ohio State and Indiana being a slugfest. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game because both defenses are legitimate. I do think that Ohio State has a better offense. I think they got better receivers. I think Julian Sain is right there on the same tier as Mendoza, in my opinion. And it wouldn't surprise me that Ohio State comes out in the 4th quarter and finishes them off. Not in any blowout fashion. I'm talking about a close game, but I just think the wear and tear on the Hoosiers for 4 quarters for those players in Ohio State and on those 22 players they've got starting, probably about 13 or 14 are going to be playing on Sundays. Okay, that's real, and that's going to matter. I think in that second half, going that third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. That's what I think about that matchup. I spoke a little bit about Texas Tech, but I want to get your thoughts on the Big Ten with Ohio State and Indiana.
Yeah, to your point, right? I also think it's going to be a little bit of a lower score game. Hold on.
No problem. So as we was talking about this, that's what our military has to do those things, right? At any beck and call. So Ohio State's got the pillar of the post from the first game of the season to now. Ohio State has been the class of college football. They haven't shown any weakness in that area from game 1 to game 12 now. After dismantling Michigan this past weekend, the game wasn't that close. That game could have been 50-10, in my opinion. I just believe that Ohio State has better players, had a better quarterback, better coaching, and all around they just wanted it. And you saw that. You saw Michigan doing a lot of talking in the first half. That what we've done in the last 4 or 5 years, but none of that mattered when they got on the field. And the start of the game, they held Michigan to a couple of field goals, a couple of 3-and-outs, and it just showed clearly to me that Ohio State was the class of that game, and I just don't think it was that close at all. So I'll just give a little bit of update from the Ohio State-Michigan game.
Yeah. You still can hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, yeah. But to your point, right, to that Ohio State-Indiana game, to me, what's scary, right, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game also. But to me, the biggest thing that I've seen when Ohio State played against Michigan that nobody's talking about is that team looked like they've been battle tested before. They haven't trailed the whole year of any game this year.
Correct.
You look at that first quarter, right? They got hit in the mouth, and you look, and I'm not saying obviously Ohio State didn't feel this way, but can you imagine what Ohio State fans were probably like? Oh, here this go again. But yeah, those guys, they look like they've been they look like the best battle tested team in the whole college football. That's what's surprising to me. You got those teams, right, that been in close games and been battle tested, and they've been down, real late in the fourth quarter. So now they look comfortable during December. You know what I mean? Ohio State looks like one of those teams. And that was my biggest question, right? On if they got tested, how are they going to look? And they looked phenomenal, right? Obviously, they got Julian saying he may win the Heisman. I don't know. They have really, really great wide receivers. They got a top 2 defense, in my opinion. And they got playmakers all over the field on defense and offense. I just think that might be a little too much for Indiana. Now, if I didn't see that Michigan game the way I did it, how they got battle tested, if they were to just boat race Michigan, to me, I would have been like, okay, this Indiana game is going to be still interesting. But to me, seeing that, them getting battle tested was a bigger compliment for me to them than if they were to blow them out 35-9 or whatever.
But here's the thing, though. We talked about this before. The score doesn't always indicate or not always indicative of how bad the team lost. Yes, it was 27 points, but I didn't look at that game in any way, shape, or form other than the first couple possessions that the game was in doubt.
Yeah.
For me, it didn't look like it in doubt at all.
The first quarter of Michigan was the more physical team. But after that, it was no question who was the more physical team after that. It looks like they because it's almost one of the, because like I said, they got hit in the mouth real early, right? And you can have those teams, right, where they kind of get in the shell themselves. You haven't beaten this team in a long time, right? I can't remember. It was something about somebody said it was 2,000 and something days since they beaten Michigan, which is crazy. But it's a testament to Ryan Day, in my opinion. I think this is probably his best coaching job that he's done. And I just want to say that, right, because I remember 4 years ago, right, 5 years ago, actually, 5 years ago, where they lost to Ohio or Bama, how they did.
Yeah.
And just during that COVID year, every Ohio State, fire Ryan Day. He can't win the big game. There's I want to stress this to people. It's a difference between you can't versus you have not. He hasn't won the big game since except for last year, right? They won a natty. He has not won the big game. It's not that he cannot, he has not.
But now that he has, what do you say, right? So you've got a coach with all that talent across the board. I think they're prohibitive favorites, right? So it's going to be an interesting game this Saturday, down there at Lucas Oil Stadium. We've been there a few times, you and I. But let's pivot over to the ACC. Let's pivot over to ACC, and we're talking about Virginia, and we're talking about Duke.
Uh-huh.
A 5-loss Duke team, and Virginia, who upset, had one upset this year. What's your take on that ACC play? And does an ACC team make the 12-team playoff?
Well, take it on the game first, right? So on the game, right? I think I have Virginia winning. I like Duke. They're very opportunistic on defense, right? I kind of like the way they scheme stuff, right? Duke's defense, they can confuse you, right? They can make some play, and I think, and on games like this, right, where it's a big point spread, I kind of try to look for the underdog on ways they can win.
Right.
Duke, I think, has to get turnovers. I think they have to get turnovers. I think they can get turnovers. If you look at it, Virginia. And I remember going back to that North Carolina game. They play a very, very bad North Carolina game. Or not North Carolina game, but though they did play a bad game, but they played a very bad North Carolina team. And I just thought, I don't know if that's the worst of the worst you're going to see out of Virginia. Probably not, because they lost 2 games, so that's probably not the worst. But it kills me to say, I think like Duke has a chance in this game. People don't really know too much about Duke. People really, and I don't think this is a game that's going to be on people's radar, especially because I think it's 6 p.m. my time, 8 o'clock your time probably. But whatever, right? I think it's going to be a game where Duke's going to have to be opportunistic in this game to win this game. They're going to play with fire. I think they're going to come out, with their heads on fire. But can you keep the consistency? See, when you play like this, right, it's almost like a sugar rush, right? You get your underdog. You're a well enough team, right? You made it to the ACC championship game. You're a well enough team to win that game. But it's almost like a sugar rush, right? That doesn't last all 4 quarters, right?
Right.
That high gets derailed after probably the first quarter, right?
So like the Michigan game.
Yeah, especially don't let Virginia be up 10-0 real early, right? So yeah, you're not, yeah. So you gotta for Duke, you gotta be opportunistic in this game. To me, as the playoff picture, right? Duke wins. I think it's simple. No ACC team makes the playoff. I think it's that simple, actually.
So with that said, so right now, as the committee has spoken today, they've got 3 Big Ten teams in. 2 of them have a first round bye, with Oregon creeping up for a 3rd. You've got 5 SEC teams. That's 8. You got 4 left. Which means you probably, if in fact, if BYU beats Texas Tech, that's 2 spots right there. And then I would believe that at that point you've got the group of 4 team. And who do you pick? Do you pick Miami? Do you pick Vandy? Or who do you, I'm going to remove Texas because I don't think Texas has a chance.
Yeah, Texas, I don't think they have a chance. But and to that, I'm actually glad that you brought Vanderbilt, right? Because I kind of wanted to talk about it, right? Vanderbilt's sitting at 10-2, guys.
Yeah.
I don't their only losses are to Bama and Texas, right? A Texas team
They
that beat
boat raced Tennessee that past week, man, at the checkerboard. Boat raced.
And when I'm looking at the rankings, I'm like, did y'all not see what they did to Tennessee at Knoxville? Listen, Neyland Stadium is to a lot of people is the hardest place to play in college sports, right? There's no way, right? You look at that game, right, and you say, it is what it is. No, that's a huge game, right? I mean, you got to think, right? Like, and the thing about it, right? I never thought I would say this. A 10-2 SEC team is probably gonna miss the playoff. You never thought you would say that.
Absolutely. You would think that as it stands right now. But with that said, what do you think? Do you see it staying chalk, or do you see there being movement? I still say there's a little bit personally. I see there's going to be a little bit of movement.
I think I don't see Vanderbilt getting in because I just see how the committee ranked. They were ranked higher in the AP poll coming in to against Tennessee, and then versus when they beat them. They were 12th on the AP poll. Right now they're 13th with a 3-touchdown win against Tennessee at Tennessee.
But you know what though, that's because the committee, as they've done year after year, even when it was 4, they're setting themselves up for a win. You move those teams. Alabama had a tough game against Auburn. Rivalry game, tough game. Auburn's a hell of a lot better than their record showed. You jump Notre Dame. Notre Dame boat race whoever they played last week.
They played Pittsburgh.
They boat raced them. So you jump Notre Dame from you go from 10 to 9 and Notre Dame's 9 to 10, right? Is the committee setting it up for Bama wins, BYU wins, they keep an ACC team and not Notre Dame? Is there a chance in hell for that? What do you think? I mean,
if so, you're saying that Virginia wins?
No, if Virginia wins, BYU wins, which I think is going to be 2 Big 12 teams if BYU wins.
Yeah.
Do you dare? Excuse me. I'm sorry. If Duke wins, do you dare? Is there any chance at all that? Well, I'm sorry. You're the flip side. I apologize. The other way, Virginia. Is there any chance that Notre Dame is moved out because Virginia wins? That's a 1 ACC team. Then you got 2 Big 12, and you got your group of 4 that's there. That's your 4 right there. You got your 3 in the Big 10, and then you got your 5 in the SEC if Bama wins. What do you have there?
I think the committee, right, and I actually do think they would be out if that was to happen, because I think what the committee is going to end up doing, right, if that happens, right, is look at Miami and look at Notre Dame, right? Miami beat Notre Dame, and I think what they're going to do, they're going to look at Miami, right? Look at their resume, look who they lost to, right? And always point the fact like, yes, it was early in the season, but you guys lost to these guys, right? So
head to head, right?
It's exactly, and I think that's where a point where they're going to probably get head to head matchups in these kind of scenarios because it's so tight. Like it's easily 15 teams that can make this playoff. Easily.
Okay, but right. So 3 of them are going to be upset. You tell me right now, December 2nd, 2025, 6 days prior to the Sunday call out. Who are the teams that are going to be upset? And is there going to be the type of outrage we had when it was the top 4? I'm looking for outrage. I want people burning cars, not literally. I want people I want them to burn the internet up with outrage.
Depending on what happens, I think Vanderbilt is going to be mad. Texas is going to be upset. Miami is going to be upset. If Notre Dame gets in, Miami's going to be pretty upset. Them guys and them people in Miami are going to be extremely upset. Oh my goodness, Vanderbilt. If I was people aren't going to care, right? Because it's Vanderbilt, right? But I guarantee you, with the resume they got, the way they beat teams too, right? If you put, I'm just gonna go off this. If you put a Michigan logo on Vanderbilt's on their helmet, they're in the playoff. Like I can't stand when the committee does something like, because what they're doing, right? They're projecting. They're thinking, and they've been doing this with Vanderbilt in the AP poll. I've been seeing it because they creeped up. I remember it was a time. I remember Texas at the time lost to Florida, and Vanderbilt only lost to was Bama.
Right.
They had Texas 5 spots over Vanderbilt. And I think they've been projecting to Vanderbilt, right? I think it's one of those things, well, you guys really weren't invited in the party, but come on, just come on. But we'll figure out where to put you. You know what I mean? It's one of those type of things. And granted, I got a stat right here, and I just want you to think about how crazy this is. 12 of the AP preseason top 25 teams are unranked. Let that sink in.
You know what it says, Darrin? What it says is you overshot the skis for a lot of teams. You thought you knew something that you didn't know. That's why we were talking about it before, and we said, listen, I think they should wait for rankings just like they do the playoffs, at least 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
6 weeks in, because it has to shake out. What you're going off of is last year, the transfer portal, who left, NIL money.
And that's the thing, right? They did it with a lot of these teams. They did it with Texas, I was seeing, right? Until they noticed Texas isn't who they think Texas is. They want it right after Florida, right? They want Texas to be good. They're expecting Texas to make that leap. But what if Texas just isn't that good? Like you got.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Sometimes you got to throw away your preseason. F all the preseason predictions that you made. Sometimes you just got to
watch your mouth. This is a family show.
And throw it in the trash. Sometimes you just got to do that, right? Don't project mid-season making these rankings, right? You're wanting Texas to be good. You're expecting this team to be that. They did it with Miami. Honestly, when Miami lost their first game against Virginia Tech, they pushed them all the way. I was thinking Miami at the time was a top 2, top 3 team, right, in the college football. And then when they lost to Virginia, or no, they didn't lose. Not Virginia Tech. I'm thinking about Florida State. I meant Louisville. When they lost to Louisville, they dropped them a little lower than kind of what I expected, right? Especially because that game, to me, I mean, Carson Beck threw for like 4 picks and could have thrown 6. So, I don't know. I think they project too much with these rankings. I don't think it's fair. But hey, it's college football. Life ain't fair.
So with you heard that once or twice before, huh?
Yeah, life ain't fair. So hey.
So with that said, we talked about this. We talked about the preseason rankings. We talked about the transfer, NIL, players transferring. I want to pivot a little bit over to this past week. Some of the fireworks have gone off in the coaching carousel, right? I don't have all the names of the coaches that changed teams, but I do know the teams. Florida, Auburn, Arkansas, LSU. You're talking about obviously Ole Miss getting Alabama's old defensive coordinator. What do you think? What do you think about this? Let's go to Mr. Golden. See, a lot of people, I won't say the name because people say I say the certain name of that team that's in the SEC down south too much.
Alex Golish.
What? No, not Golish. Golding. Pete Golding is at Ole Miss.
Oh, Pete Golding.
You know where he was at in 22 as a national champion. So he was handed the keys to the Ole Miss car. How do you think Ole Miss is going to go? Not in the playoffs. That's fine. How do you think? What do you see for them in the playoffs, and what do you see for them going on in the next 2 or 3 years?
Whoever is playing them in the playoffs has probably one of the easiest, in my opinion. They will have one of the easiest first games. Whoever it is, if they're playing against Ole Miss, has one of probably the easiest first round game, right? Lane took their offensive coaching staff with him because he can't coach them in the playoff. Which honestly, I don't understand why that is an argument. I don't understand why, if you got to think of it as an athletic director, right? Don't think of it as a fan. Don't think of it as an Ole Miss fan or even LSU, whoever. Think of it as if you're the athletic director. Why in the world, right? You go to a rival and you make it clear you're sign a contract with LSU. Why in the world, as me as the AD, why would I keep you to coach as long as you want? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's personal. Because the way it went down. What's reported is he stated to his coaches, if you don't get on this plane with me, you're not coaching at LSU. You figure it out on your own. So what he did, so again, if in fact he did, I'm not saying he did, but if he did, that scumbag level, what you did to Ole Miss, you kept them on the hum. But here's the thing why I say to this, Darrin. I don't blame Lane Kiffin for what he did because the guardrails are not in place to have any type of legislative restrictions on coaches. They can come and go when they want during the season at all. They need, if they want to be the NFL, what they need to do is look at an opportunity to mirror that dynamic. You can't talk to a coach unless during the season unless we give you permission, or if we don't give you permission, you can't talk to them until after the season.
Yeah,
that would fix all of that.
And I think the coaching thing is actually broken. I don't like how coaches can leave, right? Get with another program. Yet I'm still coaching this. It's like, yeah, I'm going this way, but I'm gonna finish. Like, no, It doesn't work like that, right? So and it probably is a little personal because of the time too, right? I think they were kind of getting. I think Keith, what's his name? Keith Carter, the athletic director at Ole Miss. Yeah. I think he was getting a little antsy of like, okay, Lane, let me know, right? And the thing is too, right? They and I don't think Keith Carter can say that Lane throughout this whole process was dishonest. He told people, hey, there is my family looking at houses in Gainesville. They're going here to Baton Rouge and Louisiana looking for places. So and there's reports about that, right? To me, I think Lane, and I know we're supposed to be talking about Pete Golden, but I think Lane, right? I think he felt a little conflicted, right? I don't think he really knew what he was going to do until maybe a week ago, right? I think a week ago he found out, figured out, I want to go to LSU. Then I think the coming days, I think the wait was seeing, hey, how can I see if I can still coach this team in the playoff though?
Right.
I think that was the wait on, right? Him trying to. I think he knew last week, right, around maybe like Tuesday, Monday-ish, Wednesday-ish, that he was going to go to LSU. I think that waiting period, that other couple days were, hey, let me figure out if I can. Is there a way I can find out that I can still coach these guys in the playoff? Which obviously no. And if I was the athletic director, I would say no too. Right. Yes, I know people in Oxford, Ole Miss are probably they're going to be mad. They're going to be upset. But you gotta think of it like this, man. With these coaches and ADs and all these general managers, stuff, it's a business, right?
Right. So with that said, so he made a business decision for himself and it's a personal decision for his family, right? So you move on to that. Now you bounce off, right? So then you look at Auburn jettison their coach, right? Getting your new hire. You know Kentucky, Stoops after 13 years, you fire Stoops and you give him $30 million to go away, and that's at Kentucky. That flew under the radar. People
It's
aren't
flew on
talking
the
about
radar
that.
because it's Kentucky. Yeah,
That's my point. But $30 million is real money. Yes, $24 million less than Brian Kelly, but it's still $30 million to go away from a program that I think the most wins they've had in any season is 8.
Yeah,
and that's Kentucky. So as the landscape folds, we're going to talk about it, some more in other shows. But from a wrap up perspective, we talked about the 12, we talked about the coaching carousel, we talked about the conference title games. I was going to say who's going to cut down the nets in January, but it's not basketball. Who is going to host that trophy up at midfield when it's all said and done?
See, I had a preseason pick of, and I'll say this on the record, right? I had Bama and Oregon going into the to CFP, right? I had Bama coming out, right? I still, in my opinion, I still think very highly of Bama. Matter of fact, we didn't talk about it, but I do have them beating Georgia on Saturday.
Hey, listen. We can't say much about Bama because we got to scale it back. We can't make this Bama show.
We're going to be labeled as homers. Yeah, we're going to be labeled as homers. So, but with that being said, right, as of December 2nd, right, my picks can change, right? That's one thing. That's a rule that I realized can happen, right? People change their minds all the time and every day. So I can change my mind, right? With that being said, right, I have Ohio State and Texas A&M playing in the CFP. I have Ohio State coming on top.
Yeah, just from my perspective, I'm with you, man. Yes, I love my boys down there in the South, but I can't pick against Ohio State. They've got, again, and I guess it's could be because they've got some products of our boys, right, at quarterback, at safety, but I just think they've got the most talent.
That Michigan game honestly solidified what I was thinking, because I've been hesitant to pick them, but that Michigan, the first quarter, I just can't, and I won't. And if they win, I want people to remember that Michigan game first quarter. Michigan hit them, and no question, they hit them in the mouth. Ohio State responded like they've been there millions of times. That is to me, competitive character, right? Competitive character. Ohio State has the talent and they have the competitive character, like they've been in close games the whole season.
Okay.
I don't think that's a team. That's a team that you don't want to play. Ryan Day is doing his best coaching job he has ever done.
Even with all that talent, this is the most talented team I've seen with him. Even with all that talent, you say he's the best coaching job?
Yeah, to get a new defensive coordinator too, and I remember people were knocking Matt Patricia.
Yeah,
people were knocking that hire. People were like, "What in the world are you thinking, Ryan Day?" They're quiet now. So that's what I'm saying, right? Then if you do it right, you go back to back. You're going back to back. You beat Michigan this year, and you look like the most unstoppable team. And the thing is, right, in my opinion, there's teams, right, that can equal them or just even a little bit better than them in talent perspective-wise, right? It's a way of how you can form that talent, right? I didn't think, and I don't think none of y'all even thought Julian, and the way he's developed Julian saying throughout the whole weeks, he's progressively gotten better, and more better. And that's what you call coaching. When you see a quarterback getting more comfortable, he's looking like he knows what he's doing more. He's making the right plays, quick decision. That's coaching. So yes, to me, this is his best coaching job. Even with the talent he has, this is his best coaching job for sure. And then if you win, you go back to back. If they win, I'll get more into his coaching job, right? Because I have plenty of reasons why this is his best coaching job.
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2 of this because I think when the season's over with, I think there's going to be some more coaching movement. Penn State hasn't made a decision yet, obviously, and some other teams as well. Wouldn't surprise me if there's some shakeup there. So as we wrap this thing up, what are your final thoughts on what we talked about today? I know we had an audio issue. Again, apologize about that, everyone. But we've got it taken care of, and I know the fix now, so we won't have that happen again. But what's your takeaway from this past weekend, today's breakdown of the CFP top 12, and how are people going to be feeling this time come next week?
Takeaways. Takeaways to me, and I'm gonna say it again, just because this is a takeaway. To me, Ohio State is the definite best team in the country. Another takeaway too, right? I think the college football committee, the way they ranked, I think they're setting it up for just in case there's chaos, right? I think that's even a big reason why they put Bama in front of Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame blew out Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might not be Auburn, or talent-wise might not be Auburn, but they won 38-7, guys, in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is I won't say a good team, but they're a decent enough team, and if you're beating them on like that, that deserves some recognition. Okay. But I think they're trying to shake it up just in case there's a chaos scenario that goes on. If, I don't know, Bama loses or Texas Tech loses, now they're 11-2. They'll be 11-2. And there's some other chaos scenarios too. ACC might not be able, which is crazy. ACC might not make the playoffs.
Maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do something Saturday night after the games. After all the games are done, we'll do maybe a 20, 25-minute deal, making sure we got good audio as well too. Yeah,
for sure. It's a lot of takeaways. College football this year has been amazing. Any given Saturday, you can get a team that can lose. It's crazy. I think Ohio State is the definitive number one, but outside of them, honestly, every team it looks like any one of them can beat each other. So, I think Ohio State, if they're going to win this year, just don't beat yourselves. I think Miami did that early in the year. Now they're probably not going to make the playoff. Because with that talent Miami has, there's no reason why Miami should be a 10-2 team right now. I promise you. Them guys are for real. You like Ohio State defense? The talent on Miami is real. There's top 3 real. But they beat themselves in each game that they lost in. So I can't. I don't know. I just can't do it. But if Ohio State doesn't beat themselves, I think that's your 2026 college football national champion. So
okay. With that said, what I think is this. My thought process behind all of this is, as we said, we're going to find out. This has been a good show for us, even though we had those audio situations that came up earlier. Appreciate your son coming all the way from the state of Colorado, covering over the mountains and everything. A lot of fun coming up this week. We'll be in touch for sure. We'll level set and we'll take care of things. Before I get out of here, I want to thank Matt Gaddis, State Farm, our first sponsor, giving us the opportunity to talk sports, Cots Corner, CFP football. You're talking the coaching carousel and all the support that you've given us. Also, our second sponsor, Wired to the Nines, coming to us from the south side of Indy. Wired to the Nines at yahoo.com. Anything that you need connection-wise, audio, video, wired lines, reach out to those guys. They'll do a good job in helping you out. They've been on the stream and the bottom. Again, thanks a lot for your time, everybody. Thanks for stopping in, sharing a little bit of time with me and the tornado. Until next time, we see you out there. Be safe.
Peace out.